I'm Justin Foley. I'm going to be on Hollywood Raw today, talking about my life as an extras casting director and working in the streets of LA where I chased after Paul McCartney.
Welcome to the Hollywood Raw YouTube page, guys. We're happy to have you here. Make sure you like, subscribe, leave us comments, do all the stuff.
What are you waiting for? Let's go. I got a drug addiction to feed. What's up, Dax?
What's up, buddy? How are you today?
I'm good. Welcome to the Hollywood Raw podcast, the #1 entertainment news podcast. I am Adam Glyn, joined by my friend Dax Holt, the #1 Wendy Williams supporter. He's very bummed that she's no longer the host of her own show, and Sherry Shepherd is. It's tough news for you today, Dax. But thank
You're
you
such
guys.
a dork.
Thank you guys for checking out the podcast. On today's show, we have one of my good friends, a journalist. We worked together at TMZ. Now he's on his own, killing it. His content is seen all around the world. My friend Justin Foley. This is what we do on this podcast. We like to say we humanize Hollywood. We talk to celebrities. We also talk to people that make them famous. We talk to the security. We talk to even the paparazzi themselves and journalists themselves to hear some of their stories. And this is some, from our feedback, this is some of the stories that you guys love the most. Hearing from the people that are actually making this, reporting the stories. They're not even, I'd say they're more, I call them journalists. They're not reporters, because reporters just kind of like relay the story. Journalists are the actually ones documenting or there at the scene of the crime per se. That's why I consider Justin, myself, and a lot of these other guys journalists, because they're they're boots on the ground.
Okay, be honest with me. Do you feel like paparazzi is a dirty word or something? Because I feel that you tend to not want to call people paparazzi, but that is the most common term for the person holding a camera out in the street.
I think we're going to get into that with Justin. My take is something different. I don't consider what we do paparazzi. I think what we do is
but that's because you feel like there's a dirty connotation. When I don't look at the word paparazzi as a dirty term, but I feel that maybe because other people do, that's why you stick away from using it. Is that accurate?
A little bit. I just know the messages I get where people call you dirty paparazzi and stuff like that. They don't call me dirty journalist. And, so there is a negative tone.
I just call you dirty Adam in general, though. Is that...
That's because I'm dirty, Dax. They call me dirty. But we're going to talk to Foley about this. Again, Foley has been doing this for a long time. He's a legend, So our guest today is a longtime video journalist who's ran around the streets of New York City and Los Angeles for years for outlets like TMZ. And again, footage has been seen all around the world. He's also an author working on a new book. Welcome to the podcast, my friend Justin Foley. How are you, bud?
All right, hold on. Don't talk yet. Hold on one sec. Got to rearrange this whole thing. Okay, now, how are you, Justin?
What up, boys? How we doing, man?
Doing so good, buddy. Good to see you.
Yeah, you too. It's been a while, dude.
I know, right? All right.
So I think I saw you was Dr. Drew's birthday party.
I would say that was probably the last time. I mean, listen, I rarely make the trips to LA anymore, especially for parties. But Dr. Drew, I made it for his birthday party.
That was a good party.
Say that again, Adam.
How was that party? How did you guys end up at this party? Justin, how do you get the invite? Dax, how do you get the invite? Like, what was the vibe like at this birthday party?
It was to cover it and do just footage and interviews and stuff. And then I got invited in, and Dax was there, and it was a good party. It was a lot of fun. A lot of good people, good energy,
Yeah, that was a fun party. It was because Drew had a roast going on. So it wasn't just like a birthday party, but there was a lot of people that showed up. Steve-O, Adam Carolla, Bob Saget was there. God,
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot of people. Joel McHale. So it was a whole roast for his birthday, and they had it at the W in what was that, Brentwood or something, right?
Yeah.
And so everyone comes in. It was a fun night though, but I ended up running into quite a few people. I knew it was awesome. I mean, Drew, I feel like I've known Drew for so long that we've had a lot of get-togethers, and so I know a lot of his friends.
He's a really good person, and the people he surrounds himself with are really good people too, and good energy. So
Absolutely.
Isn't it crazy about Dr. Drew? Like, he's been around for so long, but is a good guy. Like, based on the names you said, those are cool people to have around you, and he's just a good person. Like, I know he came on our podcast, we came on his, but he's just a good dude and very, very intelligent, like very hyper aware of like everything going. He's in the know. He's in the game.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a celebrity that stands out to me as one of the best, like one of the best people to deal with and talk to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed. And he'll get a bad rap because that's the thing. Like, I know him so well that when I see people just trashing him online, I'm like, you're giving him a hard time, but the guy is like the nicest guy in Hollywood, and he's been so successful, but he gets called a lot of shitty names online, and it's too bad.
I mean, I feel like a lot of people get called bad names online, but that's just
that is true. That is very true.
Jesus himself came back and was online. People were like, "This guy's a jerk."
So, Justin, we were just talking, obviously, in your intro about the word paparazzi and whether or not this has just a negative connotation, whether you call yourself one or you're like Adam and call yourself a street journalist. What is your view as a person behind a camera about the word paparazzi?
I think that word actually, definitely has negative connotations to it, and for a good reason. You have to realize, like, in that world, there's an ecosystem of different people wanting different things, right? And there's people that are working freelance, people that are working for companies, and they've got sort of a different motives. So, like, for instance, you take a company like, say, I don't know if I'll name them, but let's say a company that would have celebrity content. If they have an in-house guy, right, who's on a salary and whatnot, that person, for legal reasons and for just other reasons as well, is not either required to or they'd want them to chase after celebrities. In other words, running red lights. They don't want them doorstepping. They don't want them doing all the kind of the negative things, chasing paparazzi down or chasing celebrities down. And so they'll kind of wait at restaurants or wait at places or go to events where it's a little bit more like everyone agrees that it's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to like people that are working, say, independently, and they need that shot to get paid. So that's like paparazzi, like hiding in the bushes, chasing people in their cars. That's dangerous behavior. And I think that people are right in saying that behavior is kind of has negative connotations to it. Taking photos of celebrities' children. So that's one element of sort of a broad umbrella term of what's going on. You know what I mean?
No, so do you consider yourself a paparazzi, or do you consider?
No, I would not, because I never did anything like that. If somebody didn't want to talk to me, I think that's the biggest misconception. People are like, I don't want to talk to you. I'm like, good. I don't want to talk to you. I'm going to go have a pizza and go chill out. It's more about like, hey, if you want to do this, let's do this. And I've had conversations with celebrities beforehand. They're like, hey man, I'm not in the mood today. I'm like, no problem, dude. I don't want to bother you if I don't want to talk. It's got to be mutual. It's got to be like, we both want to talk. We both want to do this. It becomes such a better interview, and then you get better quality things when you do that.
So when someone would ask you before, because I know you're not doing this now, but a couple years ago, someone would say, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" What is your response to that then?
Just say I'm a field producer. That's what I am, a field producer. Produce content in the field.
Okay.
So,
yeah. So that's
cameraman, field producer. Because I think that's a different thing. I think there are different, there's different sort of people in that ecosystem. For instance, would you consider someone like Billy on the street? Would he be paparazzi?
Yeah, I
know, but I feel like you've got a great point. I guess him being on camera makes him more of the host. But I mean, I've seen Adam do the same thing where Adam makes himself a part of the video, so he's then hosting it. I don't know. It is a weird slippery line, and I think the only thing that makes it a weird slippery line is because people turn the word paparazzi into a negative thing when it really isn't. Yes, there's bad apples out there, but I don't think that every paparazzi is bad and should get that term to make it a negative thing. You know what I'm saying? I mean, in every industry, you can have a bad apple ruin it for the rest of us.
I think the biggest differentiation is, are you hiding in bushes? If you're hiding in a bush,
well, then you're a creep. You're not a paparazzi. You're just a creep.
Paparazzi hide in bushes and they chase people. If you're running red lights and hiding in bushes, then you're probably paparazzi. If you're not, then you're probably not.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I'm not waiting. I'm not waiting in any bushes, dude. I don't care. You don't want to talk to me, I'm out. You know?
I hear you.
So how did you become a journalist, a field producer? How did you get the job, or how did you start?
So I went to film school at San Diego State, and then right when I graduated, I got a job doing extras casting for a show called Veronica Mars. That was my show for 3 years. I did the pilot, and I cast all the extras for that show. And then I did a couple more things after that. It was in San Diego that we filmed that show. And shortly after that, I worked for a company called, it was BGSD back around San Diego. It was cool. It was a really great job. I loved casting, and that was kind of where I found myself really enjoying that, the casting process. I love casting, the energy of it, pulling people into the business. I had so many fun things that happened to me, so many fun stories, crazy things, and I really enjoyed it. But the studio sort of was coming to an end. They were closing. They were getting more into military productions, and so I was kind of phased out. Moved to LA, kind of because I had to look for work. And then when I got here, a guy who I knew, who I cast, Brandon. I cast Brandon. I cast him, and he was like, "Hey, there's this company called TMZ," and I was like, "Dude, I don't really want to do that. Like, I want to do casting. I don't want to be chasing after people and bothering people. It's just not really something that I want to do." He's like, "No, it's not like that. A lot of them want to do the interviews. It's fun. Come check it out." And I was like, "Okay." And I tried it out, and the money was really good, and the energy. I'm a night guy, so there was night hours. I was able to do that, and I had at first I hated it. And then the first guy I interviewed is Russell Simmons. And I talked to him about yoga, and he was so cool. He rolled his window down. We had this great interview, great conversation. I said, this is actually really fun. And this is really cool. And I got a high from it. I saw my interview online. I saw it on TV. People were talking about it on Twitter. And I was like, this is really cool. So then I kind of got hooked, and then I ended up staying a little bit longer than I thought. I thought I would just do the job for like a year, but I stayed a little longer. I really enjoyed it.
That's awesome. And Justin, you breezed over the fact that you worked on Veronica Mars. Did you, what was it like working with Kristen Bell?
Amazing. She's such a, that was, I didn't really, go from film school, and then that was the first job that I had sort of in industry. And when I saw how, I saw the process of an actor and actress. Like, I saw like the work that goes into it, how she got into a role, how she sort of listened to the director, did what she wanted to do, took creative control over the character. Like that to me, like she's a really incredible person and an incredible actress. So that really blew me away when I saw like what she did, and that kind of, it was really impressive to watch. And it was a really cool show to work on because it was a young show. I went out and booked all these people from San Diego State. I went to the beaches. I went to the clubs. I got people to be extras because we didn't really have a big database. We had to have a SAG count that we filled. And I didn't have SAG actors and actresses in San Diego because they were all in LA. And they didn't want to drive down. Maybe they would here and there if they could, but for the most part, they didn't. So I had to go out and basically build a repertoire of SAG actors and actresses. I had to waiver all these people to get them into the union. So I had basically an arsenal of people to use. And it was a lot of fun, pulling people together, watching the relationships that were formed from that show. Because it was a high school show. So everybody, obviously, you do a high school show, everyone's in their 20s and 30s because that's what you do. And they look, 18 will look younger, But
wait, were you there for the filming of the Veronica Mars movie? We did that at TMZ. So you get that full circle of working on Veronica Mars, and then we filmed the movie for it. I mean, my spot ended up on the floor in the editing room, but it was still like a pretty cool experience.
Yeah, unfortunately, I was in New York at the time. I was working. I took a job after I left. Whatever, I took a job in New York. I actually worked at the NASDAQ doing financial interviews.
Wow.
I was actually in New York City during that. I was working for a media company in the NASDAQ, so I was actually in New York during that time. So when they filmed that, I wasn't a part of that. But I actually did go to the Reid. They had a premiere in New York, so I got the chance to see Kristen. I saw Jason. I saw Rob. They're all great people. They're such good people,
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So obviously you become, you're on one side of the camera, or one side of the industry, working as casting, working along with a celebrity, working with her. And now you're working on the other side where you're a journalist. Did you ever have to film her or have any experiences with her?
No, I didn't. I got tips for her, and I always left her alone because I was just so weird for me to go after her. And Amanda Seyfried's such a great person too. I know her. If I got tips on them, I was like, I just didn't. It's just too and I know she's not into it. Like if I thought that they were into it, I'd be like, hey, it's Justin, whatever, but they're not. Some people just aren't into that thing. So I leave it alone. It's something that I really want to, like I said, going back to what we talked about earlier, if they're not into it, if I know celebrity's not into it, I do not want to do the interview because I don't really want to, it's got to be like, hey, I want to do this. Now, she'd probably I probably could do a good interview with her in another area. Like if we were on a radio show or something like a podcast, I would interview her, you know, and we'd have a fun interview there. But in the street, I don't think she's really into it. So.
No, her and Dax are not big fans of cameras
No.
in the street, and no, I respect that for you just saying, hey, that's not where I want to go with that. You know, did you have any like really memorable moments with celebs that you want to talk about? I know that I mean, when you're out here in LA, obviously it's full of massive stars, NBA stars, LeBron, whoever. You know, do you have any stories that you can chat to us about?
Oh my God, you just said LeBron, and I have a funny story. It's all right. So I'm an NFL. I like football. I'm an NFL guy. I like watching football. I used to watch basketball back in the 90s when the Knicks and the Chicago were going at it, you know. But I kind of got away from basketball, so I wasn't really watching it for a long time. I didn't like pick it up. Like I couldn't get into it. Anyway, it was Father's Day, and I'm waiting outside BOA. And there's a tip. There's a guy who goes, LeBron's inside. I said, really? Okay, all right. And that was the whole story when he was going to leave the Heat. There was like this whole conversation, like, was LeBron going to stay with the Heat? Was he going to leave? Remember, you know? So I'm like, oh, really? Okay, cool. I was like, wow. So this couple comes out and they're like, hey, you waiting for LeBron? I'm like, is he really in there? They're like, yeah, he's in there. We just saw him. He's sitting in the corner. He's with his girl. I said, wow, holy shit. Okay, cool. You know, and I'm like, all right, I'll ask him if he's going to stay with the Heat. That's the question, right? Like, you know, I looked it up. I saw that was the conversation. But I didn't really know. I'm just being honest with you. I know it sounds crazy. This is another thing about me. I don't watch TV really. I didn't watch the NBA. I was kind of out of the loop. I didn't really know what LeBron. I kind of knew what he looked like, but I didn't 100% really know. I know this sounds crazy, but out walks this guy, and I'm looking at him. I'm going, And there's another paparazzi there named Finger Breaker Dave. So Finger Breaker Dave and me are like hanging out, right? And he's like, yo, bro. He's like, that's LeBron right there. I'm like, dude, I don't think that's him. And he's like, dude, I'm telling you, that's totally him. Look at him. He's like, I'm looking at him. Finger Breaker Dave, I see his thick glasses. And I'm like, I don't know. So I walk up to this guy and I'm like, hey man, I just want to know if you're staying with the Heat. He's towering over me. He goes, I'm not with the Heat. I'm not LeBron. I go, oh man. And I'm like, I don't know who this dude is. I just don't. And I'm like, well, you must be a basketball player. He's like, nah, man, I'm not. I'm like, this guy's playing. He's pulling my leg. On and on and on. We're talking all about it. He won't tell me who it is. I hand in the footage. Come to find out, it's Greg Oden.
Oh,
I was so embarrassed, man. I'm telling you, like, oh, and then they ripped me on there, and rightly so. But it was a great moment because I was trying to make light of it. He's a great spirit. That guy is an angel. He's an awesome dude. And I ended up doing all this research on him. I found out he went to Ohio and all that, and I learned all about him. And I ended up running into him shortly after. I said, hey, man, I want to apologize. He's, no, you're all good, man. And I was like, I know who you are. I know. And he was like, no, that's cool. My cousins ripped me for that one. They made fun of me. And then he ended up being on the same team for a minute. Yeah. I mean, you know.
Any moment inside the TMZ newsroom to just rag on someone was a pretty funny moment. So I don't remember that one in particular, but I'm sure it went down pretty funny inside the newsroom.
Yeah, it was. It's on. You can find it online. It's a funny. It still exists, you know.
So good.
How often does it happen though that you like mistake someone for someone else, or like you can't really tell if that's the person? Like, what do you do in that case scenario where you see someone
or you draw
glasses,
or you
like,
see someone's face and you're like, I know that person's name, and I cannot think of it. You're like, whatever, you know, you can't. It happens a lot, especially for me because I don't really watch a lot of. When I lived in New York City for 5 years, I didn't even own a television. I would just watch YouTube. I don't know I didn't know who people were. I was like, I don't know. And they tell me that's the girl from whatever. Okay, all right, cool. It almost made the interviews better because I didn't know. If you know who they are, you can get wonky with it. If you don't know, you're just having a conversation with somebody. It becomes a little more organic, you know?
Yeah.
There's a funny story that did you work at TMZ so he doesn't watch sports, but he's one of these guys that jumps out of airplanes and he does all this other stuff, but he's one of our camera guys, and he got a tip from the valet. They go, oh, Mr. The guy from Dancing with Wolves is here. He says, oh, no way, Kevin Costner. So he drives to he drives to the restaurant, and the guy comes out and he goes, sir, you're gonna. He's like, oh, Kevin, are you gonna do another movie? Are you gonna do Dance with Wolves Part 2? He goes, what? He starts asking all these questions. Like, Kevin, you gonna do this? Kevin, you gonna do that? He's like, my name's not Kevin. My name's Joe. He's like, oh, I'm so sorry. Goes back to the office. He's like, yeah, they said it was Kevin Costner. I was like, let me look at the footage. It's Joe Montana.
Oh God,
it's fine. You can find it if you Google it. It comes up. That's another one that's out there still too. Yeah, that happens, man.
That's funny because it's like Kevin Costner to me is so incredibly famous and so recognizable. That's really funny just to think even someone would screw that up. You know, what was like the best place to get celebs in LA?
I'm a comedy, like I stand up guys. Like I'm kind of falling to that world. I tried doing a little stand up. I'm an improv guy. Like that was my hangout. I like the layout because it's on Melrose. They have that, like, it's set back where you can kind of chill. There's a bar area. They're super cool there. The energy.
Wait, what did you say it was?
The improv?
Oh, the improv
comedy.
Okay. But you're saying that, like, there's a lot of celebs that go there?
Tons of celebs that go there. They go there to watch because they're friends with a lot of comedians. The energy's good. They want to go see comedy. You know, it's just the vibe is fun, and they're friends with a lot of comics, so they go and watch them. They want to get the maybe inspiration for being funny if they're going to be in a movie or something like that. But there's a lot of celebrities that go to the improv. Paul McCartney went to the improv. I mean, everybody has gone to the improv.
Adam, this is the first time someone's brought up the improv, and it's true because I remember now that I think about it, there were a lot of photos because the improv right on Sunset. There's like kind of like a back entrance, right?
Yeah.
That's around the corner where celebs will go in. But no one's brought that up before. Everyone talks about the restaurants and the bars and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But the improv, that is a good spot. I've seen Bieber there before. I've seen
everybody.
Improv
in the Laugh Factory too.
Yep.
I have to give those guys props. Those guys were always cool with me. I like that spot too. That was a good one in everything. But improv was, I hung out there more. That was my hangout for a while, and I got a ton of people there. And again, I built that rapport with him.
I am thinking the Laugh Factory, aren't I? My bad.
Well, the Laugh Factory's on Sunset, which is it's right on the and that one. But the improv is the one that has it's on Melrose. It was across from Red-O that used to be there.
Okay.
Remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah. I think I know where you're at now.
Yeah. It's a great, but I like the layout there because you got more room to move. You can kind of hang out in the bar. There's an outside area you can chill in. Yeah, so it's good.
Dope.
Yeah, that was
good suggestion because I think people come out here and they want to see celebs and they're like, where the hell do I go?
Comedy
see a comedy show, and then you're going to see something funny, and you get to see celebs most likely.
Yeah, I would just check the roster. You got the big three. You got the Comedy Store, which is the world. Everyone knows the Comedy Store, right? You got the store. You got, but the layout there was not easy for me to get shots, and they had they were a little more celeb, like, you know, there's a little more of a barrier for me to get footage there or not. And I understood, I get it. So, but as far as I'm going to see celebrities, big names go there too. But you got the store, the Laugh Factory, and the improv. So those are great three. That's a trifecta right there, baby. You're gonna get, if you check the list, there's always somebody between one of them. And some nights celebrities will go and perform. They'll go 1, 2, 3, and they'll do all three. So big names, you know.
Can they sneak into the improv, or do they like pull right up to the front and like walk in, or do they go?
They can go. There's a back entrance. There's an alleyway. They can go in there. And if they do that, I never ever. But sometimes they go through the front. And if they saw me there, I had a relationship with. I don't want to name the names, but there was big. But maybe like a lot of the guys that didn't really want to talk with there. Sometimes they're working on material. They don't really want to be bothered. So no problem. And that was kind of like the understanding we had. The improv actually liked me there because it was added some excitement and fun, and a lot of the celebrities like to talk. Sometimes they'd be there, they're in a good mood. And if they didn't, I left them alone. I would just go and have some fries and hang out. So it didn't bother me either way. So
You know what's funny, Dax? I was just in LA recently, and I was running around town with my camera. I've never ran around LA with my camera. So I was in LA to work. So I hit up Foley. I go, Foley, where do I go? Where do I go see celebs during the day? And what did you say, Foley?
I know, dude. It's so weird. I don't know. Il Pastel.
Really?
And I don't understand it. I don't understand it because I like spaghetti like the next guy, man. You know, I do. I love spaghetti, and I like it. But you know, on a hot day, like I don't know what. How are you? Like
I feel like a carb central spot. A lot of celebs wouldn't be going to.
These hot pasta, like no. I can't do it, dude. I don't know. And it's packed. It's packed in there. I don't get it. I don't know who eats hot spaghetti on a hot day. I can't. It's like eating ice cream in the winter. I don't. I mean, maybe I'd rather do that than do hot pasta on a hot day.
So wait, Adam, did you end up going? Did you see anyone?
I did. I went by. I saw like Ian Dior there. I saw like Jonathan Chabin there. I saw what's his name from Rocky 4. He was there. Drago was there.
Yeah.
So, but it's just funny. Like, I was like, Foley, what are you talking about? He's like, yeah, I don't know Foley's answers. I don't get it. It's a hot, nice day, but these people like to eat spaghetti at noon, you know? And it's just,
I can't. It's packed with celebrities and people all the time. It's like 92 degrees out and there's like hot spaghetti. I'm like, dude, no, give me some sushi or like a cold cut sandwich. Hot pasta, like, no.
But it's wild. The place is packed. The place is packed.
The food, it's authentic and it's delicious. I've eaten it. It's really good on a chilly Wednesday night. I'm all about it, man. But like on a hot Sunday afternoon, so like sun blistering down on my head, no.
So Foley, you've ran into just about everyone out in the streets. I mean, when you're in LA and you've got a camera in your hand and you know the places to go, you see all kinds of celebs. Who was the one celeb that left you really starstruck though? Like when you think back and you're like, holy shit, I can't believe I ran into that person.
I got two that stand out. Well, there's two. Well, Elon Musk, because that he's just such an incredible figure. He's such a brilliant mind. He's doing so much to like really bring us into like the next wave of sort of I don't know, of society as far as like his technology and what he's trying to do and what he does and everything. And so that was a really cool interview. We talked about something that he's a brilliant guy to talk to, and he was that was a good one. We talked about AI, the dangers of artificial intelligence and everything, and how that's going to really affect humanity. That was cool. That stands out. Donald Trump stands out. I'll tell you, he's 2 times I interviewed him. Both times he stood out to me. He was really interesting. I was waiting out. I was at Spago, and he sent his guy out, and there was a bunch of people. It's before he was president. And he sent this guy out, and the guy was like interviewing his security guard was talking to people of who was who. And then he was like, and he found out who I was and kind of gave me a little look over and talked to me. He's like, stand over here. So he went inside, and then Trump came out, and he had an intelligence about him that I never saw with other celebrities. Other celebrities will come out and be cast. He knew what to do. He came out and he came right to me and we talked to me. And so the way he handled himself with that was interesting to me. It stood out. Most celebrities didn't do that. And the second time I met him was in New York, and I have to give him credit. It was raining. I was at an event at the governor's mansion. It was raining out. They put me out when there's a gate, like you got to stand over here. I was like, I don't want to deal with this. I'm just going to go home. And celebrities were going in like 100 feet away from me. Adam, you've dealt with this before. Sometimes you're standing far away and you got to have them try to come over. Not one person came over to me except for one, Donald Trump. And he walked over and he was so nice. And we talked and I made him laugh, and he was, he's just a good guy. And then he left. I was like, I have to give him credit. He's the only one that came over. And people get mad. I go, look, take it how you want. Take it how you want from that. If you hate the guy, you love him, whatever. I'm just telling you what happened. I'm just reporting you he's the only one that came over to talk to me. That's all. If you take it how you want,
Yeah, it's funny how polarizing he became after landing as president. Like you forget that the reality star, or the billionaire, that all stuff, like it just kind of goes out the window because people either love him or hate him. It's really crazy.
And I just said, hey, this is what he did. He's the only guy that actually came over and talked to me. It was nice to me.
Yep.
And everyone said, this time I said, hey man, I'm just telling you what he did. He came over and talked to me. Nobody else did.
Did you meet any other presidents?
I met Biden. I interviewed him. I tried to interview him. People wouldn't really let me talk to him. I tried to ask him a question, and they covered it up and they brushed him away from me. So wasn't a great interaction. I'm going to be honest with you. I tried to ask him a normal question about what was going on when he was running for office, and his handlers did not let him talk. They pulled him away. So
gotcha.
Can you get close to him?
Yeah, it was in an alleyway. It was in an alleyway in Santa Monica. It was like an alleyway where he was going in to talk to us.
And they were like, we don't need you, creeper, getting next to our future president in an alleyway. We get it. I'm
Yeah,
kidding.
well, well, I say it was the outlet. It was the entrance to the.
Yeah, no, I'm just messing with you. Of
Yeah,
course, they're keeping everyone away from
I
him.
was in the bushes.
So
So
Foley,
funny.
you've also been outside Craig's.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's a
How
great
does
spot.
it work? Explain to the people at home who aren't familiar with Craig's, but also like what it's like being outside Craig's every night. Like
Press
a regular
conference,
night.
dude. It's a press conference. It's, I don't know. I suppose like every sort of the generation has that spot that like everyone kind of hangs out. When we were, I guess there's like maybe it was Musso and Frank's in the 40s. Who knows? I don't know. I'm sure it was Spago back in the 80s. And now it seems to be Craig's. It's a good. The food is delicious. It's reasonably priced. It's good to hang out. They're great people. The energy is good. I think the layout has something to do with it. It's the end of Melrose there. It's got a good vibe. Looky-loos show up from all over the place. I mean, families will show up with their kids to catch a glimpse of celebrities. There's paparazzi there. There's journalists there. There's autograph seekers. They want to get autographs. There's like super fans that want to get pictures with celebrities. It's a wild scene, man. It's a whole ecosystem of just controlled chaos.
And you said that it was funny because you were talking about the press conference, which it truly is. How many celebs do you think are promoting something or need the press that just make that reservation because they know cameras are there and they want to get their photo taken?
They do. I like it when the person has a new boyfriend or girlfriend, and then they just go to Craig so they can, that's the way to like get right. Have your ex see you with the new arm there. It's like, oh, I'm just gonna go to Craig's. That's another thing too that we talk about. It's like, oh, it's like if you're walking through the front door of Craig's, it's like it's like you want to get your picture taken, you want to get interviewed. That's sort of
100%.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, come on.
Is every night there a celebrity?
Pretty much. I mean, yeah, I would say there's always somebody, depending on what I mean, almost every night. Yeah.
And is Craig's cool?
I'm not there all the time now. Now I don't really do this. I'm not really in the game much, and I'm writing and stuff now. I'm doing music, so I'm not really. So, but I go there every now and then. I'm there, and it's still always just as busy as ever. And the food's great. I have to say, the food's good. The chicken parm.
Is that, do the places ever run you guys out food? Like, will an El Pastel be like, oh, I saw you guys working, here's some extra pasta or something like
No, those places, hot pasta in the middle. No, I mean, yeah, Craig's has given us, we've gotten pizzas and stuff. It's cold out and they get an order. If we're not, depending on the vibe, it depends if it's a chaos or crazy or if it's a little more chill. It's happened. Yeah, sure. It's
so the
happened
place,
before.
like, is Craig's cool with you guys being outside or what? Like, are they?
Yeah, I think it's sort of like everyone kind of knows it's become a thing, right? So it's like, you have to realize too, like I'll tell you a story. Like I said, you got to realize when I got first involved in this job, I didn't really want to do it. It wasn't really my thing. I was more of a casting guy. And so it was like pretty early on when I was doing this. I still had my I liked it, but I was like, I don't know. And so it was at STK. And the manager came out, was like, oh, this guy's going to run me out of here. And he was like, oh, no, you're totally cool being here. I was like, oh, really? And he was like, look, I used to hate guys being out here. And I hated it and kicked everybody away. He said, and then one time this group came in, spent all this money. They're from Europe, Sweden. And she spent all this money. And I said, how did you guys hear about our restaurant? He's like, oh, we saw it on TMZ. And he was like, all right, that's it. I want everyone here. So then he started wanting people being there because it was free promotion. Right. And then you get an interview and we got Brad Pitt eating at STK. Right. And then it's like someone sees that and goes, honey, when we go on vacation there, I want to eat there because he ate there. And now you've got families going there to kind of catch the celebrities. It becomes this whole sort of snowball effect. So I think that's kind of what's happened with Craig now.
Well, I would hope they appreciate it because it doesn't matter how many celebs come in. If there's no paparazzi to take the photos of the celebs going in, no one will know the restaurant exists.
If a tree fell in the woods and nobody was there to hear it, right?
Yep, exactly. So, I mean, I would hope that these big restaurants, I mean, shoot, if I had a restaurant in LA and celebs were attending, I'd be like, I hope that people are taking photos because that is what's going to put my name on the map. And that's the reason everyone knows Craig's is because of the press conferences, the celebs walking in, the photos being taken. It's the spot to go.
Yeah, and Bowen did that back in the day too. Remember, and that's something that happened now. There's a restaurant, Saddle Ranch. I don't know if you guys know the history of that, But Saddle Ranch for
There's
a while.
a little restaurant called Saddle Ranch. Of course,
Yeah.
everyone knows that crazy place.
No, I'm saying you guys know, but people listening might not know. But there's, Saddle Ranch, right? Well, you know how popular it was, and then it kind of like nobody really went there. But then I don't know if you know the story. The TikTokers were going there.
Yep.
And they were getting like stuff, and they were saying, "Hey, just say you were here." So then all of a sudden, and again, I think it has to do with the layouts on Sunset, the lights, it's blah blah blah. And they were like TikToking that they were at Saddle Ranch, and then all of a sudden, all these tweens and stuff started going to Saddle Ranch to see the TikTokers, and the place is mobbed. Have you seen how packed? You haven't been to, I don't know, Adam, you saw.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's mobbed. It's mobbed, and guys and girls that are like young are dragging the parents there. And, come on, I want to go see. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, well, I mean, we talked to Bryce Hall about that exact thing about Saddle Ranch and them kind of putting it back on the map again.
Yeah, Bryce is a good dude. I interviewed him. He's a good guy.
Yeah, he's a nice guy. Speaking of like just run-ins, have you ever had a run-in that you're just like, that was really awkward? It wasn't a good interaction with a celeb.
I don't know. I don't really focus on negative stuff. I kind of let it just go out because I understand where people are coming from. I never really ever focus on stuff because I know that, you have to realize something too. Like they might have had, the news outlets might have done a bad story on that. It wasn't true. And then they're kind of take it on them. So I never really focus on those things. I mean, it's never the person usually per se, because they'll just kind of like be elusive and run away. It's usually like their friends or people around them, or even people don't even know them that are trying to be the heroes or like yell at, It's that stuff. Like I had a funny story one time. My buddy was like, "Hey, there's this actress. She's like been in one thing and she's trying to get her name out there. Can you go meet us over Fogo de Chao?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'll try." I mean, I don't know they're gonna run it because the deal. I was like, she's not really known. And he's like, "Just do her a favor, try to do this interview for her, please." I'm like, they're begging me to come film her. I'm like, "All right, I'll come over and I'll do my best. I'll come up with a question that maybe they're going to want to bite on." So I go over to interview this girl and I'm waiting for her. And then this family comes out and the guy starts getting in my face and yelling at me. And I'm like, she called it. I don't want to say that she called me, but I'm like, it's just so funny because they have no idea. They think that they're like, I'm bothering
out. And you're like, no, she wants me.
Yeah, meanwhile, she's like begging me, please come interview me. And it's like, oh God. And I'm like, I don't want to be like,
especially if it's not a big name person, you should be like, please, by all means, meet my girlfriend or my daughter or whatever it is.
Yeah, the guy didn't know. He's like, "Oh, you're bothering everybody." I'm like, they called me to come here. It's like, oh man.
I love that.
Does that happen? Not with you, but you see with other photographers in LA that someone's getting a phone call to do a setup shot.
But what was that now?
Like, how often do you see that happening in LA with some of the other photographers just getting called and doing setup shots?
I mean, I think that kind of happens. Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. Because especially if there's something going on that they're connected to. In other words, if a co-star got in trouble or someone's questioning the character of someone that they know and they're close with them, then they want to, hey, I want to talk about this. I want to defend the person or I want to share my story. Those setups kind of happen. And then setups that maybe someone's promoting something, of course. Yeah. I mean, I had a film, when I was in film school, I had a teacher that told me, it was like, if it's on TV, it's fake. Don't believe it. It's, because if it's scripted, a lot of times things are happening behind the scenes. You don't know.
So I want to try something with you, Foley. Me and Dax are each going to say a name, and I want to see if you have a story on your experience with them. Okay, I'll start first, and I'm going to name a name, and then just tell me about your experience with them, and have you shot them? If not, what you've heard, and tell me a little bit about them. So I'll start first. Okay. Brad Pitt.
Never shot him, never met him.
Have you heard anything about him?
I heard he's a pretty nice guy. Actually, I have a positive Brad Pitt story. It was when he was dating, I believe, Gwyneth. My friend's a cameraman on a movie that she was on. He came to the set. For some reason, the budget, his assistant called out, and he didn't have an assistant to help him with the camera. Brad was there to kind of support her, and he helped him carry all of his equipment and became like his camera assistant for the day. Was helping him out.
Oh, that's dope.
What a great guy. Yeah.
All right. Mine, Taylor Swift.
Never met her doing that. I actually worked for a company and I did award shows. So I used to coordinate talent for award shows, and I met her at one of the award shows. It might have been the VMAs on the red carpet, and she was nice. She's tall. I didn't realize how tall she was. That stood out to me. She's very tall.
Lisa Vanderpump.
Oh, great. She's a sweetheart. Always with the dogs. Always wants to talk. Very intelligent. Sweetheart. I recently met her when she did her. She has a fundraiser for
The
animals.
dog one, yeah.
Yeah, and I went there, and she was so sweet, so nice to me, and I like her. She's a good person. She's like the wealth and the opulence, but she's really a good spirit, you know.
All right. How about Britney Spears?
You know, I never really met her or got too close to her. I just at events where she was running into the car. That's like that's a Haley's Comet there.
Drake.
His security, he's a good guy, but he's very private, and he doesn't really want to talk much. So he doesn't, but his security personnel is really good. They're intelligent. He's got good people around him, the way that they control where he goes and who's around him. They're very smart. They scan the area. They know who's going on. They know faces. Good team. I think he's a good guy. He gave me a thumbs up a few times. He doesn't really want to talk, but he lets you know, like, hey man, I appreciate you. I see you, but I don't really want to be on camera. But he's from what I get, he's a good dude.
All right. Bieber.
Oh, I have a great interview with Bieber. Him and I have a funny story. So he's a good, I just think he got famous so fast, so young when he was so little, and he had he was growing up in front of the camera. And so, you know, we kind of watched his evolution. But it's a story when he was called a brat. There was something that happened on an airline. So they sent me out to interview him. And it's a funny story because Twitter had banned his name because it was eating up the bandwidth. Remember that? Remember that
they
story?
stopped with the like hashtags, right?
Yeah, they shadow banned them, right? So it's a funny story because they sent me out to go interview him. I'm like, hey man, what's up? He's like, yo, I don't know, man. I was like, what's this story going on with they're calling you Brad? He goes, I don't know, man. I don't know why they're doing that. So we're just like walking by Katsuya having a convo. We're walking having a convo. I'm like, yeah, dude, it was a fun time. And then I go, hey man, you know, when you're a celebrity, he goes, I'm not a celebrity. No, my name's Derek. So Derek Bieber was trending next day on Twitter. So it was actually the Derek Bieber interview. I did that interview. It was a fun interview. And you know what's funny? After that, you know, you read the comments, leave below, you're bothering. After the interview, him and I were laughing. We high-fived. He was a good dude. And then I ran into him at the VMAs, and I was there. And I was like, yo, what's up? Can I get a picture? And he's like, yeah, okay.
Did you ask Derek for a photo, or you asked Bieber?
Derek, let me get a picture. I was like, yeah, I did the Derek. He's like, oh, I know you. I'm like, cool, man.
That's awesome.
Dane Cook.
Dane's, I like him. He's a good dude. He's got good energy, and he's got that East Coast Boston, like, hey man, what's up? I apparently one of the outlets did a bad story on him, so he didn't really want to talk to them. So, and I got it. So him and I would talk off camera about it, you know, and he was like, I'm going to give you an interview, you know, whatever. They kind of did me a little wrong there. And I'm like, I don't blame you, dude. You know, that's a story about someone where the news outlets kind of did them dirty and he didn't really want to deal with them anymore. It wasn't, you know, and they were like talking bad about him. Remember there was a while they were like kind of throwing him under the bus all the time.
Yeah.
And it was like not fair to the guy. And I was on his side. I was like, dude, I agree with you, man. I like Dane Cook. I like his comedy. I think he's a good dude. So I always got along with him, and I think he's a good guy.
Tara Reid.
I only met her one time. She was nice to me. I was brief. I think we talked about Sharknado or something. I don't know.
Heather Locklear.
Sweetheart. What a sweetheart. She's so sweet. You know, I worked with her when I did casting in San Diego. I worked on this movie called Flying By. It was with Cyrus, Billy Ray Cyrus, and her worked in this movie. And I had a company called Bum Gloves at the time. We did fingerless gloves, and I gave her a pair of white fingerless gloves, and she was so nice to me about that. And then she was at the Improv, and that's when and then she had to come off and then I ran into her, and she came off the, remember that story where she went kind of off the deep end for a hot minute there?
Yeah.
And that was difficult because I wanted to ask her because I didn't know if she wanted to talk about it and stuff. So it was good. I got a chance to put her in a good light, and I asked her some positive questions, and she gave me some positive answers, and that was the end. So that was a nice thing for me I thought she's sweet. I think she's a really good person.
All right. My last one is Miley Cyrus.
Oh, I never really met with her, but I gave her dad to give her a pair of those fingerless gloves, and I think she got a pair of pink, but I never really dealt with her before I ever talked to her. So.
Okay. My last one is Paul McCartney.
Oh my God. So I'm a Beatles nut. Look at this, man. I just ordered this box. So there's this company. Look at this. So these are cards. Let me show you this. Look how cool this is. These are all cards, like playing cards. Isn't that so cool?
Look at you.
Yeah, I get these. There's these companies out there that make these cards, so you can get different things. Like, look, this one's Robin Hood. You can get different. I mean, I'm collecting these cards now. Anyway, I got the Beatles one. I'm a Beatles nut. I play guitar. I drums because of the Beatles. Anyway, I got a chance to meet Ringo Starr, and I was like, holy crap! I can't believe it. I met him, and we talked. And it was when James, Paul's son, was performing at the Viper.
That's
And
so
they came out to
cool.
support him. And there was a rumor Paul was going to be there, and he didn't show up. I was so bummed. But I got a rumor that I know where he eats at Moza, and I got a tip that he was at Moza, and that's a difficult spot on Melrose because you can't really park anywhere. So I raced. I was in Beverly Hills. I must look like a nut. I had a Jeep Wrangler at the time, and I'm racing my Jeep down the road. I'm gonna get Paul McCartney. I was obsessed. I just wanted to beat him like a super fan, right? Racing my car down the road. There's nowhere to park. I park across the street. There's a gas station. I park illegally. I think the car's still running. And someone's like, yo, guy, you can't park there. You can't. And I'm like, don't worry about it. And I'm running. And I see his Escalade just driving away. And I'm chasing. I'm like, hey, I do that. And it's just like, whoop. And it's like, oh, and I'm hoping to get stuck at the red light so I can run up to the car and be like, I just want a picture with you. I just want to meet you, And they catch the green light. I'm like, son of a bitch. And I watch the car, dust is kicking up in my face. Like, and I'm like, oh, and I'm like, this guy's looking in his rearview mirror like this guy's a whack job. But I'm such a fan, and I'm so bummed I didn't get a chance to meet him. I would have done anything. That's my huge. That was my first concert that I ever went to, Paul McCartney, 1990, Chipping the Live, fantastic.
So we do a little bit of a speed round, and I want to just go through this with you. Ready? First thing that comes to your mind, just say what you think. Ready? Here we go. First question: funniest person.
It was got to be Norm Macdonald.
Okay.
Norm Macdonald for sure, hands down, funniest.
What about a celebrity that's always good for a soundbite?
Oh God. I'm drawing a blank on that. I can't. I got to come back to who's always good for a soundbite. Sherry Shepherd. Sherry Shepherd's great for a soundbite. She's brilliant. She's so smart and pretty, and so I love her. Sherry Shepherd always gave me good interviews, good insight on things. She's clever. I like Sherry Shepherd.
Cool.
One who will never talk to you.
Oh God, who will never talk to me. Apparently Paul McCartney.
All right. Who is the person that their beauty, like in person, was like off the charts?
Oh, she's stunning, and I got it. Well, Heather Locklear is up there, but I would say from the hills. Audrina.
Audrina. Oh yeah, Audrina's really pretty.
Her hair, her look, the way she carries herself. She's stunning. She's really, really stunningly beautiful. Stunningly beautiful.
Okay. The strongest physically, like the person, like, man, this person's a big dude. This person can mess.
So so it was Holyfield. I saw Holyfield at an event, and I was like, dude, that guy is like, what? Who would ever fight? There's no way you could hit him with a 2x4, and I'd be like scared. His neck and his shoulders. I was like, there's no way. Like, that guy is really scary, huge. Like, yeah, I'd say Holyfield and Mike Tyson too had a presence about him that was like, yeah.
All right. So if Audrina got your top female beauty in person, who is the male star that also blew you away with just how good they looked in person?
Handsome guy, like a guy that was like handsome man's man, but also personality wise, like cool dude. Rob Lowe. What a great guy.
Okay.
He's a sweetheart. He's a good dude. He's nice. He's clever. And he's got a good look. He aged really well. I think it's his personality really made him a good person. He's a good person. I think that made him like, just a good guy. You know what I mean? The guy he doesn't drink anymore, but you have an iced tea with him, I suppose.
No shock there with that answer.
Yeah.
The nicest celebrity.
Drew Carey is a sweetheart. I was waiting for him one time at the Improv, and it was raining. And I was like, I had a question for him. I was going to talk to him about, I forget what it was. There was something going on with Price is Right, and I wanted to ask him about it. And I knew he would talk about it. And he came out and he was like, have you been waiting out here in the rain? I go, yeah. And he goes, why don't you just come in and tell me? I'm like, oh, I don't want to bother. He goes, dude, just come inside and be like, hey, I have a question for you. I'll come out. I was like, what a nice guy. What a sweetheart. And David Spade. David Spade's also, I think they're tied. Drew and David are probably the nicest, just good guys, you know?
Did you ever come across a celebrity who you were shocked at how they treated their fans? Like maybe they weren't the nicest to their fans?
No, but I do know that I don't want to name, I don't really have a name for that stuff, but I do know that there have been celebrities that like were sort of, I don't know, really wanting attention from their fans, really wanting to, like, when I make it, I want to make it, and like signing it. And then as soon as they made it, we're just like, you know, did that.
Yeah.
That happens, you know. Singers sometimes tend to do that stuff because they're in a different world and everything. And yeah, that happens sometimes. They'll make it, and once they make it, they don't care anymore. So unfortunately, that does happen.
Who is the most playful? Like, you know, you could do an interview with them. They'll play with you. Like, they'll have fun with you.
Oh God. Probably maybe Spade. Spade will go back and forth with stuff like that. He's pretty clever. Yeah, probably comedians. Because comedians are that's like their world, right? Like celebrities usually don't have that. They're really good at, like, you know, that's their expertise is reading a script and then becoming a character. Whereas the comedians tend to really have that chops to do that stuff. You know?
Yeah. One of my favorite Spade paparazzi videos where he's trying to act like he's a big star. Then he goes to the valet and he goes, hey, here's a 20. Can I get 19 back? And then I thought that was funny. Like the paparazzi walked over.
That police academy, I told him, I don't know if he remembers, but I told him, I said, I literally got into skateboarding. But I got a board right there. Look. Or how do you, oh, no, look. It's like how they do the weather. That's my board. I got into skateboarding because of that movie, the police academy, when he was like, remember that scene? What are you doing? I got all that. What are you gonna do? I'm gonna go to the mall. Let's go. And then the Powell guys from the Powell Peralta, the Bowens Brigade,
yeah.
Tony Hawk, Steve Caballero, Tommy Guerrero, McGill, and they all went to, and they did that whole scene. What a cool scene in the movie. I was like, dude, I'm gonna get into skateboarding from that, you know?
So awesome. Have you ever run into a celeb like when they're in the middle of like a sad moment, when they're crying or like?
Oh yeah. No, I never put the camera on them when I do that stuff. Never. Keep the camera off. Leave them alone. It's not. No.
Well, who was the celeb?
That's just bad mojo.
I'm just
curious.
If,
What's going on. Who was the celeb?
You know, it was a girl, and I think she got news that her grandma passed. It was like something like that. It was like, I'm not filming that. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Well, who was the grandma? No, I'm just kidding. All right, no.
It might have been someone from like one of the reality. It was like a reality. I don't really watch those shows. I was one of them. I don't know. Someone was like, oh, that's the girl from whatever, and she's crying. I'm like, the girl's crying. Like, what? I'm like,
all right. Has a celebrity ever paid you not to film them? If so, who? No, I don't. I'm trying to think if that ever happened to me. No, security. Yeah, no, actually never happened.
All right, here's my last question. So you see a lot of celeb stuff. We're always talking about the celeb stuff, but what is the wildest thing that you saw in the streets of LA that was non-celebrity related?
Non-celebrity related. I don't. The streaker. There was a streaker on Melrose for a while there. He was running up and down naked. An old guy. He's just running up and down the streets. Yeah.
And he never got in trouble. He just got to like run down the street and then run away.
The cops went after him a few times. He keeps doing it. Apparently, it's a thing. He's been arrested for it a few times. So he walked up and down. Yeah. I had a funny thing that happened though. Kind of. Well, it's when I did casting. You know, I did extras casting, right? If you want to hear this story, this is a pretty funny story. So we were filming this movie, right? And it was in San Diego at this theater, and it was a scene where we're on the stage, and so they needed a lot of people. And originally they thought they were going to shoot it tight, so like we only need like 30 or 40 people. So I booked like 30. I think I booked like 30 people for it. And then we're there. The director was like, you know what? I want to have a wide shot. We need people. We need people now. Rush call. So I'm like, dude, I'm trying to send people to the set. They wanted like 50 or 60 more people. So it's like the middle of the day. I'm trying to call people. So I put an ad on Craigslist, a rush call, right? So people are responding. because they're home and it's the middle of the day. So I'm sending people to the set, and I'm blind. I'm booking it blind. I'm not seeing them. I'm just sending them down there. Yeah, go. Well, one of the guys goes crazy. I guess someone took a garbage can and threw it. Now I didn't tell the people that I did this, right? I just booked them. They didn't know. So the guy he goes crazy, and they go, you got to come down to the set right now. I go, what happened? Just come down to the set. We had an incident. So I race down there. I get down there. They go, they have this guy, and I felt bad. I guess he had mental problems. He was supposed to be on. He goes, I'm not on my meds, man. I'm like, oh no. So he threw a garbage can, like, we know those like Oscar the Grouch steel garbage cans like in the movies. They found he got one of those and was throwing it at the camera. The first AC dives, blocks the can thing. They tackle the guy. They bring him outside. The cops come, give him water and give him whatever medicine he needs. Dig him, right? So everyone goes, where'd you find this guy? Where'd you find this guy? I go, Craigslist. The whole set was like, Craigslist. And oh my God. I mean, it was one of those moments where it was like, everyone was just like, this guy's booking people off Craigslist.
That's
I was
awesome.
like, oh, man, I had to do what I had to do. And so, but everyone was pissed. But then like the next day, everyone was laughing. Oh, the Craigslist caster. So, yeah, well,
Dex, can I tell you about mine? Actually, I saw this. I'm at the Bowery Hotel, and the Bowery has a restaurant right next door to it called Gemma. It's a big celebrity hotspot during the nice days. Everyone eats outside. It's like probably during one of the top 3 biggest celeb spots during the day when the weather's nice. And some guy just walks right in front of everyone, pulls down his pants, takes a dump right in the middle of as people is eating their pasta in the middle of the day. I was like, oh my God, that is terrible. So I thought
it's not good.
Fun. That was great. But listen, Foley, I appreciate coming on the podcast. Yeah. And before we go, I want to talk about something else you're working on. Tell us, you're an author. You wrote something.
Yeah, I am. So I have a book. It's called Jack and the Weed Stock. I just completed it. If anyone out there wants to, I'm trying to find a publisher or literary agent. I think it's a good book. I've already hired the illustrator. We got the copyrights, the trademarks. All we need now is to find somebody who wants to take this thing to the next stage here, a literary agent or a publisher. It's Jack and the Weed Stock. It tells the classic story, but instead of magic beans, we get a little magic weed.
Oh.
Jack, who's sort of a ne'er-do-well Woody Woodpecker type character, goes on a magical journey, and it's a lot of fun.
So where can people follow you and find you and learn more about this and about you?
Well, I'll give updates on my Instagram is I'm Justin Foley. It's this letter I, letter M, Justin Foley, and Twitter is Justin Foley Twit.
Cool, man. Well, Foley, dude, there's a reason why people love these stories. It's because they, I think it's something. They're just interesting. They're fun. They resonate.
It's the glimpse behind the curtain. That's what it is. You always hear people, and getting those firsthand run-ins, I think, are really fascinating for the rest of us.
Yeah, it's definitely not your normal day at work. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Love it.
Buddy, Justin, thank you for coming on the podcast. And
thanks for having me, guys. Good to see you guys.
I could sit there and talk to these guys forever. Like, you know what I'm saying? When me and these guys talk on the phone, it's like the funniest stories because it's just so many dumb, crazy interactions, but it's also like good to hear their side and their experiences with celebrities. So then I know if I should go for the person or if I shouldn't go. Like, for example, I never got Heather Locklear, but it's good to hear that he said Heather Locklear was a nice person, like a cool person. So.
No, I love the stories. Like you said, we could talk to these camera guys all day long about just what it's like working in LA, New York, Miami, where they're running into celebs the most. And I love the stories about when people are cool. I don't know. To me, I would rather hear a story about a celeb being cool than someone being a dickhead to a paparazzi. Like, to me, I feel like I have so much more respect for a huge star when they are cool to their fans, paparazzi, whoever it is coming up to them in the streets.
Yeah, I know it's easy to ask like who's an asshole. Everyone wants to know who is a dick, but honestly, majority of them are really good people. Like, it's hard. I always say 90% of them are cool and great. 5% aren't into it, which I respect. The other 5% are assholes. Yep. So it's and we always say the bigger the celebrity, the cooler they are usually, and that says something about their career.
Unless
sometimes
your name is Alec Baldwin.
That's true, but also
Woody Harrelson.
Keep it going. But guys, thank you guys for listening to the podcast. Like and subscribe. Leave a review, 5-star only. That's the best thing to do because it helps us out with the algorithm. If you like celebrity videos and content that you can't find anywhere else, Check out the Hollywood Raw on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We're on it all. We also have a private Facebook group where you guys can message us and we could give you the real dirt that we can't, for legal reasons, put on the air. But you can find me at Adam Glyn. You can find Dax Holt at DAXHOLT. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye. Guys, hope you like that video. We got a lot more where that came from.
Hit that bell, like, subscribe, share with a friend. The best thing you do to support us is really doing that. And we really need the money because we need hair gel.